This is the Little Moments Count radio podcast, created in partnership with community radio stations throughout Minnesota. Each episode, you'll hear interviews with early childhood experts on how to support the important brain development that takes place in the first 1,000 days of life, just through little moments every day. Learn more at littlemomentscount.org/podcast.
Walter Q. Bear Banks Jr. got you on the afternoon drive, letting you know it's nice outside, ladies and gentlemen. Get up, get out, get in the weather, and definitely enjoy. And letting you know that right now it's Little Moments Count. And we got my man, Mr. Brandon Jones, on the line. But I want to start it out by letting you know that this episode of this afternoon is presented in partnership with Little Moments Count and 89.9 KMOJ. It's a statewide collaborative focusing on helping parents and caregivers learn about the importance of the brain development of the little one's life within the first 3 years of one's life. And I'm letting you know also that it's nearly 80% of the brain growth happens within the first 1,000 days of a small little one's life within the interactions of talking, playing, singing, just anything with that physical contact. That's where it starts at right then. And if you'd like more information, you can lock in at littlemomentscount.org. I'd like to say to Mr. Brandon Jones, good early afternoon, and how are you doing?
Good afternoon. I'm doing well. Happy to be here.
No doubt, no doubt. Looking at the weather outside and Minnesota weather itself, this is just an off-brand question. How often does the weather affect one's thought patterns with just daily life?
Oh, the weather can definitely affect people's thought patterns, their processes through daily life. You know, if it's raining outside, if you like that type of weather, you might go, "Oh, this is a very relaxing opportunity for me today." Or you can look out the window and say, "Man, it's going to be a bad day. It's cloudy, it's dark." So the weather does play a role in our mood, and it really is subjective based on who the person is and how they adjust to certain weather patterns. I know for myself, I'm not a big fan of winter, but I'm a Minnesotan, and it happens, and I got to learn how to deal with it.
No doubt, no doubt. And also, that's the other thing about learning with little youngsters and the little moments and making it count for real is you got to learn how to deal with it. So even beyond that, when it comes to Minnesota Association of Children's Mental Health Executive Director, and then even beyond that, there's a thing called ACE. Can you explain to us what exactly does adverse childhood experiences, what does that mean?
Yes, adverse childhood experiences, also known as ACEs, stems from a study that was done in the 1990s that we still use to today that looks at when a young person, a child, goes through some sort of trauma or adversity, how that trauma or adversity plays a role in their brain development and also their health and social status later on in life.
So now, when it comes to the youngsters themselves, can you give us some insight on some of the signs or some of the symptoms when you can look and see as a parent or a caregiver that something's not right?
Absolutely. Now we're talking about, children in the first 1,000 days of life, those 3 years or so. So you're looking at them reaching their developmental milestones in that area. Are they able to hold their bottle? Are they following with eye contact? Are they able to mumble or verbalize things in that young age? Do they have the body strength to lift themselves up on couches or beds or pull things like covers? Those are the things you're looking for. And if you feel like your child is at an age where they're not meeting those kind of normal development milestones, then you might want to get an assessment done, talk to a care provider, and figure out what's going on with your child.
Yeah, because that was gonna be my next question is what should one do if they recognize that something's just not right or something seems to be a little different with this child compared to the one that they were right next to, and what
Yep.
can they do? What is there some type of resources or anything in that area or spaces one could go to?
Oh, absolutely. You can go to any provider if you don't have a primary care provider. I highly recommend that you get one. But if not, you can just schedule an appointment at whatever clinic or hospital that you've gone to with a pediatrician or early care provider, and they can, do some assessments. I think the biggest thing that we can do as parents and caregivers is not deny ourselves or delay the things that we may need for our child. You might say, "Oh, they're going to get over it, or they're going to grow out of it." I've seen a lot of that, and I think that ends up making things more complicated, especially if your child does have any issue or concern. You want to be in front of it as best as possible. And it doesn't hurt to ask a question or to get some medical advice on what's going on with your child.
And what got you into this field or this area when it comes to the little youngsters and the young person's life?
Well, I was one. I'm a product of WIC, food stamps, and Section 8. I grew up in the hood, man, and I knew that if I can overcome some of the things that I've seen as a child, some of the ACEs or adverse child experiences that I've gone through, I definitely have a duty to make sure that other kids have an opportunity not to experience those things as well. So that's how I got into this work.
And if there's some words or something that you could say to, the parents themselves or the caregivers, because a lot of times some people's caring for kids that are not necessarily theirs, but they
Right.
have that responsibility. So what would
Right.
you say to them that see a sign or a signal and they need to do something about it?
If you see something, do something. If you have any concerns, one, you know your child best. You're around your child, you're around the children that you're taking care of. Make sure you make that connection. Don't have any shame in asking questions. Don't think that if something is wrong, you failed or that you did something bad and that's your child is now, in this position. Don't blame yourself. It's your responsibility to make sure you get the help that you need to make sure that your child has an opportunity to develop in a healthy way. So just make sure that you take the steps necessary and don't beat yourself up if something has actually happened or something is going on with your child.
And how key is it or how important is it to take the time out and take that slow time to get to know your child when it comes to that reading, to the singing, to just playing, and even conversation and talking?
Yeah, it's extremely important. I know it's annoying. We're in a society where we are go, go, go all the time. As a father myself, I'm a very busy individual, and I still have to find that time to read that book, to watch my child draw a picture that I can't tell what they're actually making, to sit down and have dinner together, or to make sure that they're eating a healthy snack. Like, you have to be intentional about making that time because that's what builds the healthy development versus allowing your kids to just figure things out completely on their own. That's when things are not going to go the way that we want them to go. So, making that time and making sure that you spend that intentional quality time with your child is very important.
And also the lineup of importance is when I'm speaking of it and thinking about it at the same time, is some of those little moments they really are so important and key. But even with those little times or those little bit of moments, how important is it to encourage that child to continue and to do and to do?
It is extremely important. Encouragement to a child is like water to a plant. When you nurture that child will grow and develop. And sometimes you might not see the fruits of your labor, of your work until later on in life. And we've all had those moments where we're like, man, that's what my mom or that's what my dad was telling me. Or my grandma used to always say that. And I sound just like that person. There's a reason for that. Because those life lessons that you install early on, they show up later. And guess what? You are a lot more prepared to deal with them versus if you don't get those life lessons. Always encourage a child, always make intentional time for them. And one of the easiest things you can do is play. Find a way to play with your kids. And that's usually leads to a lot of healthy development and learning as well.
No doubt. Ladies and gentlemen, once again, that's Mr. Brandon Jones. I'd like to say thank you very much for the time and opportunity. And if there's anything else you'd like to say to the listening audience, right now is that moment.
Awesome. Thank you for having me again. And for the listening audience, healing is a journey, it's not a destination. We all go through stuff, but it doesn't mean that it's the end. We can grow through the trauma, the adversities, and the things that we experience. So don't give up on yourself. Always take the next step, make sure it's the best step, and continue your journey.
No doubt, no doubt. Thank you once again.
Absolutely. Thank you. Take care.
No doubt. It's FM 89.9 KMOJ, and letting you know, ladies and gentlemen, it's Little Moments Count. And if you like more information, you can lock in at littlemomentscount.org/podcast, or you can lock in on the website at littlemomentscount.org. It's FM 89.9 KMOJ, no doubt about it. It's the people's station.
Thanks for listening to the Little Moments Count radio podcast in partnership with community radio stations throughout Minnesota. You can find the Little Moments Count radio podcast wherever you get your podcasts and at littlemomentscount.org/podcast.